It's good to see you guys. It's good to still be in that same energy that we had when we were there in training. And this is the Skills for Life class, and today I'm going to cover abundance and gratitude. We begin in the 7 principles, beginning with thought. Thought is the beginning of all creation. It is also the center of all creation. Everything that we have, that we materialize, begins with thought. Next, we have perception. And perception is a combination of our thoughts. And we know that that a perception is just a perception until excuse me, that that a thought is
You own
what was that? Yeah. Got some echolalia going on. Are you guys hearing echo?
It just got turned off.
Okay, something happened.
So I'm just under Cheryl's.
Okay. Sorry, a little bit of technical difficulty there. So, as we discussed before, energy is just energy until a perception is placed upon it.
And then it echoes.
What was that?
Energy is just energy till you put energy on it, and then it echoes.
And then it echoes. Okay. Next, we have choice and accountability. We make choices every day, and sometimes we do that unconsciously. But the goal is to slow our thoughts down so that we can make a more conscious and guided choice about the things that we create, because inevitably we create our reality. Next is cause and effect. We know that everything has a cause, and then there's also an effect. We know that what we put out into the universe comes back. Next, we have abundance and gratitude, which is what we'll be covering today. Know that gratitude is more than just a feeling of thanks. It is it's a gateway. It signals to the universe that we are open for reception when we express gratitude. Next, we have health and healing. Ultimately, we are in charge of our own bodies, our minds, our spirits. We are at the helm for what we create regarding our health and healing. Next, we have harmony and rhythm. And harmony and rhythm is important because it incorporates all these principles. And when we have these principles working for us in a way that we want, we can see the harmony and we can see the rhythm in our lives. And we can see all that manifests because of that. Next, we have the Rapid Eye 4-step care protocol. Yeah. So the 4-step self-care protocol is something that we as Rapid Eye technicians use to help do our own interpersonal work, as well as encouraging others to do the same. HHF stands for help. My hair's on fire. I still get a kick out of that every time I think about it. It really is true though. We get in moments where we get stuck and there's a need to reach out to others and ask that they send energy our way so that we can feel the buoyancy of the community of those that we are basically our family, Rapid Eye family and community. Next, there is the universal 2x4, which I kind of put it like this. So if we choose to be less conscious of our creations, the universal 2x4 is there to remind if we don't mind. That's kind of how I like to think of it. Although not wanted, a 2x4 warning is better than a Mack truck. So next we have, what is the Mack truck? The Mack truck is kind of, there's many 2x4s, being euphemistic about that one, but it's bigger and it hits harder. And I think most of us would rather have that 2x4 reminder than a Mack truck. Which leads us to the next frame, is what reads as pain, means pay attention inside now. Our bodies speak to us. We have a degree of communication with our body. When we feel pain, we pay attention inside and we know that our body's trying to tell us something. Next, we have cancel that. And there's many things that when we think about it, we might take ourselves aback a little bit and say, cancel that. Whenever we have emotion that's less desirable, when we believe better of ourselves, when we say or do something that perhaps we know will cause a repercussion that we didn't intend. And so we say, cancel that. That puts us in a space so that we signal the universe that we intend something better and that we cancel that which comes forth from us that we would rather not send out as a mixed signal. So with that, what does gratitude mean? Now's the slide. Okay, so I can't hear anybody, and that's for the sake of eliminating the echolalia that we were hearing. What does gratitude mean? I guess we can do that in message form. No. I just can't hear them participate, so
Can you hear me, Tyler?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For me, it means just being grateful for what you expect to receive or are receiving, and it just just it keeps you in a higher vibration to be thankful, to be grateful.
Yeah. So if worry is a prayer for what we don't want, Is gratitude a prayer for what we do want? I would say so. Any thoughts?
Yeah. I think-
If conscious gratitude signals the universe that we are in a state to receive, I don't know, maybe we should make a Christmas list. So we're on slide 2. So my thoughts, I was discussing this with my kids, and not long ago I asked them the same question. I used to think that gratitude was something that you had to dig up like a fossil because life never slows down and you always need more of something, and that expressing gratitude was only to make others feel better. So many people around me didn't seem to really believe what they touted about the benefits of gratitude. It just seemed to me that they were repeating what others had said about it. It created massive blocks with me. I'm just giving you a little bit of my history. And to me, it became the nausea of a formulated Hallmark movie. It destroyed, at the time, my views about the power of general positivity so much that I began to mock what's called the GLAD game. Does that sound familiar to anybody? And I perceived everyone was playing worse than that theme of the old Disney movie Pollyanna. Basically, I used to say that if you ever want unskillfully wielded positivity shoved down your throat, move to Utah. So, having said that, I have since reframed that view after going through rapid eye education, which has helped me a lot. I have since reframed that view to say that many people in Utah have great potential with what they do know, even if it seems little to me. So I have since learned that gratitude is not only for everyone at all times, it also benefits everyone in a measurable, reliable, and scientifically proven way. And it's something that I didn't really get in my former experience because my exemplarism in my perception seemingly failed to demonstrate that. But through rapid education, I've learned ways to create, not fake, gratitude with power, I might add. And that 4-step process that we talked about has been one of those ways for me. On that note, I'm going to show this super short video clip about the power of gratitude. Yeah, that.
And when a person starts to open their heart and allow themselves to feel gratitude, truly grateful, or another way to say it is to get in touch with the emotion that they would feel if their reality happened before it happened. And if they could sustain that state in a state of gratitude, they're suggestible to the information because the body's believing it's already happened. And that thought slips right past the brainstem to the body, and we begin to change our autonomic nervous system. How many people are with me? And when a person starts to open their heart.
All right. I showed this little small, and it's a super short clip. I showed this video to see if anyone caught some of the details about creating gratitude beyond just feeling it. No.
When I watched a show last night, this guy had went to prison and he was bitter at first, but then he started taking this class on manifestation and gratitude. And so he said he drew some pictures of what he wanted his life to look like. So he was believing in, he said he didn't really believe it, but he just went through the motions and he drew these pictures of what he wanted his life to look like. And they told him to be grateful and gratitude, show gratitude, and he was grateful that he had already had these things that he wanted. And he took the pictures out years later, and he realized he had manifested all those things he had been grateful for and all the things he had written down. So it's your body believes you already got it when you're grateful for it. So whatever you give out, you get more of that. It comes back to you because you tell the universe, yeah, this is what I want. And so the universe gives you more of that, what you're putting out.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. And anybody else? Okay, some guy I was talking to you must have, and I'm glad that you shared that because I had an experience of my own. Some guy I was talking to must have been very disillusioned by some of his talk therapy experiences because he used the word trick in reference to making psychological changes. Having heard that, and later I brought up Rapid Eye, I explained to him that there is a huge difference between fakery and choice. Fakery is denial, and choice is actuation and authenticity. If we want to feel something different than what we are feeling in the moment, we can authentically choose it and trade it for what we are feeling in the moment instead of masking it through idle fakery. So basically, I explained to him that in the Rapid Eye model, we learned ways of creating change without faking it. I told him that just like giving a computer genuine instructions and redirection from time to time, we consciously and authentically choose the algorithm or instructions that we want the mind and body to incorporate. If we ever want our results to be different, we can choose to repattern the instructions. I think I made a lasting impression on him because ever since he's been increasingly inquisitive about Rapid Eye, trying out the eye patch, telling me it's been having positive effects, and so on. And I felt impressed to give him a lot of space from the start, and it's been paying off. He's been coming to me more and more, asking questions. So far, so good. I've been encouraging him in small and steady ways. So we don't fake, we create. Even so, it has also been my focus to recognize the feeling of gratitude that we all have and reap the benefits by better recognizing it as well as creating it. In other words, as we identify it, once we feel it, just kind of like in that video that we saw, cultivate and magnify it during times of meditation and reflection, we can preserve the gratitude we already have in us. And of course, I think it's possible to feel gratitude more often than we express, and therefore I believe it is important to identify it when we feel it. Any thoughts?
Can I share something about what you said earlier about when because I always heard fake it till you make it kind of
Yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
so, but what I hear you saying now is like, we don't fake it, we consciously choose
yep,
something different. And then the more we do it, we're building new neural pathways to have something different become a choice versus just automatically just default into something we don't really choose. So yeah, so I'm just kind of clearing that up in my head.
yeah,
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 so we
absolutely, absolutely. It's
yeah,
all
so
about
as we build
choice.
those
All about,
neural pathways, our body
right,
will react differently and have new things to be grateful for because it's going to show up more often.
absolutely.
Well,
And
and oh, go ahead.
Go
there's the
ahead.
phrase, we've changed the phrase, instead of fake, it's called faith. Substance of
Right,
things hoped for,
Faith
or
till you make
evidence
it.
of things not seen. So faith it till you
faith it.
make it.
Absolutely, faith it. I love it. Thank you for reminding us of that.
That
So,
was really vital, Tyler. This is Marion. I'm so happy we got to where there's a signal again. We were driving. So
oh,
you had shared early on, and Cheryl and as Nancy and everyone's been contributing. One aspect of what you spoke about is, you said, oh, it was so overwhelming. You felt like everyone was fake, no matter where you were. It was like, oh, it's sicky sweet. It's not real. It's not authentic. And
yeah,
I started recognizing, Tyler, this is a vital element of us to pay attention, because what we're uncomfortable with is we haven't gotten to know ourselves. We aren't knowing ourselves well enough that we're relying on a false mask, a false presentation. We want to measure up to what we think is expected of us. We desire to measure up to what we think society wants, or our spiritual or religious practice, or what our family desires. And truly, why one aspect of why we get so uncomfortable is so we will dig deeper and recognize the literal stewardship, the literal, we are the only ones that can be an advocate for ourselves. And that imbalance becomes so uncomfortable, and we become so disgusted with the process on whatever level that means for each unique person, right? But and so at some point we do start to choose to know ourselves. And I think that's a fundamental and core part of being in life and showing up and choosing in. And the way you're drawing it into the principles with Rapid Eye is it's all getting through the layers and doing our own work and truly getting to know ourselves. So thank you for letting me share about that.
Well, thank you, Marianne. Appreciate it. Anybody else? And I've thought about that. That small clip was really impressive to me when I came across it, just because of what he talked about with the feeling of it. Because I've pondered about gratitude, and I know that it's more than just being thankful. So, for example, every time we have felt a rush of relief about an issue, we're really feeling a rush of gratitude if you really think about it. So the urge to celebrate and thank everyone and everything is kind of like a divine universal spasm prompting us to multiply it. Like anytime I've been relieved at something, I say, "Oh, thank heavens!" Right? Who's done that? Right? I mean, I think you can get what I'm saying. And as much as people say they want to, for example, as much as people want to say they want to hit something when they feel angry, which is not a good thing, but they naturally in turn want to give something when they feel happy. In those moments, we have the opportunity to multiply the energy of thankfulness and celebration, first by expressing it in word and action, and then magnifying it and making it swell. So what would be the opposite of gratitude?
Judgment, despair,
Right.
negativity.
So, and those kind of things, do they focus on lack? I would say so.
I even think like envy, like being envious of what others have,
Right.
instead of being grateful for what's in your life.
It's an active word. It's an active thing, but it expresses lack, because when you're looking at the grass is greener on the other side, you're that envy, you're cultivating lack. You're feeling that lack. So now, just to illustrate this, I'm going to show this. It's a phony, humorous news clip by The Onion. Who knows what The Onion is? Anybody? Heard of it? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I have.
But anyway, there they are, and I guess they're just for
let it
decorative
fly
purposes.
around,
I don't know.
whatever.
Maybe you at home enjoy seeing them. That's,
Right.
Anyway. Up. It's one of those abuses of power stories. Today, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, you know them for all the charitable work they've done over the years, is expected to file for bankruptcy, all due to the financial strain caused by one little child's wish for unlimited wishes.
You've got to be kidding me.
I wish I were kidding you, but I'm not. No, this kid, Chad Carter, he's an 8-year-old living up in Boston. He has leukemia. He took advantage of some bureaucratic loophole in the charter of this organization and wanted nonstop wish fulfillment to the tune of 9 trips to Walt Disney World for himself and his family of 5, a real live F-14 Tomcat, which had to be decommissioned from Afghanistan, and daily hot dog lunches with Yankee slugger Johnny Damon. as well as untold hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on fire trucks,
Right,
dump trucks,
sure.
regular trucks, and you know, the kid doesn't even drive.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, well,
Unbelievable.
listen to how he responds to all this.
Don't want the wishes to ever end.
Can you imagine? Is there only himself to think of?
Unbelievable.
And joining us now here is Make-A-Wish Foundation President Dean Fineglass. Dean, our sympathies to you today, buddy. You are really in a bind, aren't you?
Yeah, we sure are, but our slogan is, a promise is a promise. Because of that, our hands are pretty much tied right now.
So, Dean, what have you thought of to do to fight this situation?
Well, we had gotten a pro bono legal team, and of course, Chad found out about it, and guess what? He wished away our legal team. It's
He's
very
got all
clever.
the bases covered.
Yeah. Every day I go in there, and it's more outrageous than the day before.
Is there anything our viewers can do to help?
There is. They can send donations. We're asking just about for anything. I mean, if they have 10-speed bicycles, volleyball sets, I mean, connections with celebrities. The worst case is that we continue to grant Chad, day after day, his unlimited wishes from now until the day he dies.
Well, and we can only hope that that's coming soon.
Well, unfortunately, Make-A-Wish is now responsible for the best oncology care for Chad, as that was one of his first wishes.
Wow, this kid thinks of everything, doesn't he?
Yes.
Best of luck to you. We're hoping for you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Okay, disclaimer, that is crazy and over the top for a reason. I just wanted to show a very exaggerated, hopefully a little humorous there, example of what, so like in the event we find ourselves in trouble, like the child in this example, there is obviously no need to be excessively needy. And I'm not talking about HHF. It's kind of like what Marion said. We are ultimately responsible for what we create. And so the idea of codependency kind of goes out the window when we realize that. So it does show that we should, or that what we would be creating unconsciously, it's just like an idea of what we could be creating unconsciously if we choose not to examine ourselves consciously or do our own inner work or wallow in self-pity. And if it helps, I have a saying of my own, so that's slide 3.
Could I share something?
Go ahead. Yeah.
One of the things I get what you say when certain things are a lack, because I keep too much stuff. So I have a lot of stuff, so I tend to hold on too long to things, like, you know, how you say to yourself, oh, I might need that one day, and then it hit me one day that that's a lack mentality, because you
Right.
think it won't be available when you need it. So I realized that lack thing, and so I'm creating all this stuff that I don't really, or environment I really don't want, when I could create something a lot more conducive to what it is I do want.
Well,
So I do
thank you.
get that about how it's a lack mentality when you just kind of, I don't know, hold on to things too long or ask for too much, or I don't know, because you think
Right.
it's not going to be there.
Thank you for sharing that. And when you said need, when we find something in our drawers that we're like, well, how long has that been there? Well, I'm saying mentally, of course. Like, how long has that been there? And then it's like, well, you felt like you needed it, but when you realize what it is, you're like, oh, this has got to go. And that is, thank you for sharing that, because that is exactly what interpersonal work, or personal inner work is.
Tyler, another
Uh-huh.
thing that has happened, and Cheryl, we can all relate on some
Yes.
level of this, right? And seriously, you go through and you find something that has rotted or gone bad, or that you go, oh, so you guys can really laugh at this. I actually went through some sewing materials that I had stored, and I thought it was only some scraps of material and a few tools in this storage box. And I went through that and found, layered between some of the fabric, was partially almost finished size
Oh,
5
you moved it.
girls'
I
underwear.
didn't put that
And,
on the floor.
and I thought, I have not had a 5-year-old for over 30 years. Why did I never finish those? And so
Oh,
I
I didn't put
ended
it on
up
the floor.
sharing them with someone. I put it out on a share group, and And this woman said, I would love to have those. I have elastic to finish off the top. So anyway, I'm just sharing with you, you know, you hear all the stories, right? Of people that go to pass and their house is getting cleaned out. And there's the stacked, beautiful monogrammed hand towels that were never set out. They never dried a pair of hands ever because they were being saved for a special time, right?
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that, Marion. So this is kind of corny, maybe, I don't know. This is kind of a quote, just it's me, but it's something that helps me remind me what gratitude is. So when it comes to gratitude, there is choice to create, nothing to fake, and from others, nothing to take. Anyhow, if I had a description of gratitude, that's what I would say it would be in a really short way. Didn't intend to be a poet there, but that's that's kind of what I came up with. So gratitude doesn't focus on or give energy to lack, and that's something we've discussed, and therefore has no reason to well wish or take from anyone or anything. Gratitude can be a very natural and reflexive thing, and one of the best examples of this I've seen is the outpouring of positive messages and energy sent by the Rapid Eye community on a regular basis. And I must be feeling gratitude right now because you can't mistake that feeling of buoyancy. So I will say thank you to one and all listening for all that you do on behalf of others in the Rapid Eye community, and considering the healing force that gratitude carries with it, it is a huge phenomenon. I don't know. There is a video, it's a little bit longer, and I'm going to show this next video, even though it's longer than average. It's worth it. So I would encourage everyone to hang in there. We'll cue it up a bit. So about the time, 57 seconds.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for attending this Funk Family Farms traditional Thanksgiving dinner. Thanksgiving is a very special time of togetherness and a time to express our gratitude. And it was interesting because I was just reading in my dear friend Benjamin Franklin's edition of Poor Richard's Almanac. He has a whole insight into the nature of gratitude and how it affects our life. And I would really love to read this before we serve our Thanksgiving dinner. Whatever you're waiting for, be it peace of mind, contentment, health, it will surely come, but only when you are ready to receive it with openness and gratitude. Of all the characteristics needed for both a happy and morally decent life, none surpasses gratitude. Happiness and health are the just rewards for living in gratitude. Wow, I remember the first time I read that. I doubted that gratitude could give me health and happiness, but now I know differently.
Igor, how sweet of you to remember my birthday. Listen, let me blow out the candles, make a wish, and then we'll have a party later. Ah, yes, another year would be wonderful. Ah. Well, you know what? That whole story that Ben Franklin told us about gratitude and health, well, it actually works. And now scientifically we know why. Because built into every one of our cells is the fountain of youth. What's the fountain of youth in the cell? Well, it's something called telomeres. Telomeres, they are special parts of the DNA. So when you open up the nucleus of the cell, the chromosomes come out, and there are 46 chromosomes, 23 from your mother and 23 from your father. But what is a chromosome? Well, what it is a sleeve of protein wrapped around a double helix of DNA. And the significance about this is the telomeres, as you can see in this picture of an X and Y chromosome, stained red are the telomeres at the ends of the chromosome. They're the ends of the DNA are. I say, so what is the telomere? It's extensions of DNA after the genes, meaning it's a part of the DNA that doesn't program anything. It's just extended DNA. I say, why would you have extended DNA at the end? And the answer is profoundly simple, and that is this. If you understand how the DNA is reproduced, first there's an enzyme that comes in when it's time to reproduce the DNA, and that enzyme is called a helicase. Remember, DNA is a helix, and a helicase, case means enzyme, it's an enzyme that breaks the helix. And so as the helicase moves down the DNA, it splits it into two separate strands. So as illustrated in this picture right here, the DNA of just one strand is one we're focusing on, and you can see where all the red little marks are in the DNA. That's where the gene programs are. But at the end of the DNA, there are different little marks, and this is where the telomere is. And I say, why should we have a telomere? At the ends of the DNA strand, at the very ends, are extensions of DNA. But these extensions don't program genes. These are just extra pieces of DNA. So as you can see in this illustration, the red part of the DNA, that's where the gene programs are. But at the very end, the green part on that DNA is the extra extensions called the telomeres. And I say, so okay, why do we have telomeres? Well, here's the most important reason of all. Because when the enzyme comes in that copies the DNA, called a polymerase, it's like a train that lands on the DNA as the tracks. And as the polymerase moves down the track, it leaves behind it in a wake a copy of the DNA that it was riding on. So as the train is moving down the DNA strand, it creates a duplicate piece of DNA behind it. This is how the DNA is reproduced. But the serious part is this. When the enzyme gets to the end of the strand, guess what? It cannot copy the piece of the DNA that it's sitting on, because the next move, that enzyme, that little train will fall off the track. So why is it important? So as you see, when the polymerase enzyme lets go of the DNA, the new piece of DNA is shorter than the first copy. And I say, why is it relevant? Because every time the DNA is copied, the last little piece can't be copied. So every time it's copied, the DNA gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And then what will happen is, well, if you run out of the telomere portion, the next time you copy the DNA, you're going to cut off a piece of the gene. And that's when aging, disease, and depression begin, is when the DNA runs out of telomere. Well, at first it was thought the length of the telomere would determine how long you could live, because it determined how many times a cell could divide. A scientist back in the 1960s by the name of Leonard Hayflick did a calculation. He said if the telomere is so many units long and you lose a little piece every time the cell divides, how many times can the cell...
I just want to check in with everybody. This is kind of a long clip. How are you feeling? Is everybody lost, or are you guys following okay? Or
It's very interesting.
Still here.
okay. You want me to continue?
Yes.
Okay, we'll continue.
I see the end of the telomere.
Please list the link later, Tyler, in
Oh,
the group.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
One of the best I've come across.
telomere is so many units long and you lose a little piece every time the cell divides, how many times can the cell divide? I say, well, why is that important? Because we're specifically talking about the stem cells in our body that divide all the time, replacing the worn and broken out cells that die every day. So stem cells have to keep dividing, and their progeny contribute to the repair. But now there's a problem. How long can your stem cells last? And the simple reason is this: when the stem cells run out, at that point, we start to age very quickly, and that's when disease and depression are characteristic. So the whole point about this with Leonard Hayflick, he did a calculation. He said, if you count the number of cell divisions and look in the lifetime of an individual, guess what? An individual can live about 120 years. Wow, how convenient. That's about how long people live. So it was believed that our life, it was actually determined by the length of these telomeres. Well, something exciting happened. A woman scientist came into the picture by the name of Elizabeth Blackburn. And what did she see? She saw at the ends of the DNA where the telomeres are, there is an enzyme called telomerase. Telomerase is an enzyme that adds extensions to the telomere. So if the enzyme is working, the telomere can get longer and longer. I say, well, what would be the consequence of increasing the length of the telomere? And the answer, you can divide the cells on and on and on without running out of the DNA telomere. So what are those things that activate the telomerase? What are those things that inhibit the telomerase? Firstly, let's go over the things that actually stop the enzyme from working. These are the things that will cause you to prematurely age and start to express all the characteristics of disease and depression associated with aging. And I say, well, what are those things? Well, firstly, poor nutrition. Poor nutrition will cause the enzyme to cease functioning, and aging will occur much faster. And then it gets into things like childhood abuse and domestic violence and post-traumatic stress disorder. I say, why does that influence the enzyme? Well, think about it this way. When people are abused or when they're living in a world of violence, how much do they really want to live? There's a psychological underneath story going on. I don't want to be here. The violence, the stress, I don't want to be here. That's an unconscious belief, but guess what? That belief will stop the telomerase enzyme from working, and you'll die sooner according to that wish of that belief. And there are two very important factors that also will inhibit the enzyme. Number one is a loss of love, or actually not having any self-love. And the significance of that is without love, life is more a life of isolation. And that kind of isolation doesn't really encourage anybody to desire to live longer. So when you lose love or you're not having any self-love, we will shorten our lifespan. And then a most significant influence on the enzyme is not having any purpose. Just think what that means. You wake up in the morning with nothing to do, nowhere to go, and all of a sudden, what is the feedback? I don't have any reason to be here. Well, interesting enough, that belief in the biology of belief is the factor that can shut down the enzyme. And this is why, for example, why many people upon retiring have a very short lifespan after the retirement. Why? They lose their function, they lose their purpose in life, and the feedback of the nervous system is, well, I'm not doing anything, and therefore unconsciously that individual will cancel the enzyme and have a much shorter life. And then the positive things that will enhance your life, give you a much healthier, longer existence on this planet, are things that activate the enzyme. Good nutrition and exercise, of course, increase our health, and this will activate the enzyme because it says we're trying to stay healthy and alive. Happiness and gratitude, now that's the big one. Happiness and gratitude means you love your life so much.
Okay, so I'm just pausing for a second. He says that's the big one. So he took a while getting to that point, but that's noteworthy to say, hey, that's the big one. Okay, continue.
Much that you want more. So unconsciously, you will activate the enzyme to increase and enhance your life. This is also associated with a positive outlook, because if you have a positive outlook, that means you're looking toward a future. And again, feedback says then we're going to have to activate this enzyme to have that future. And the last two aspects that enhance the enzyme and give you long life are very important, and that is, again, having that self-love, appreciating yourself, which means I'm enjoying and appreciating my life experience. And when you're in love, that, of course, drives you to stay around even longer, and that will activate the enzyme. And lastly, and most importantly, is being in service, meaning you have something to do. And what the feedback of the system is says, I can't end now, I have to be here longer, I have something to do. And so being in service is one of the most important things to extend your telomeres and keep you around. And in conclusion, the information about telomeres and telomerase is very important because they represent the equivalent of a fountain of youth in every cell. And between your mind and your cells, the biology of belief reveals how your consciousness and your thoughts can extend your telomeres by activating telomerase when you appreciate life, when you have gratitude, and when you're looking for love and happiness on the planet, you can extend your life. So interesting, you're very powerful to change your life and make it one of happiness, joy, and health for a long, long time.
Wow, right? A lot of information.
Very good.
So, and it did take a while to get to some key points. So I know video is perfect, but I also appreciate and grateful for the information that was in it. Like I said, that was hard to pass up. It's one of the best I've come across. So I'm glad you liked it. That I showed this video to demonstrate that there is heavy and copious scientific evidence to back up the benefits of choosing gratitude. So having said that, what is abundance? Any thoughts?
Having more
Having
than you
what you need
started
when you
with.
need it. Having what you
else?
need when you need it.
Can I show my cheesy drawing?
Everything is just right there. It just comes in waves. Can I share my abundance experience I had?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Oh, there was once I was walking. I had my car had quit, so I had caught the bus and they let me off at the wrong place, and then I was walking, and then my back was kind of hurting. I said, "Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna make it down to the other end of the street, like further down. It was like 4 blocks, and I wasn't used to walking that far." I said, I just kind of asked, like, well, how am I gonna make it down there? Then all of a sudden I looked in the bushes, there was a cane in the bushes of all things. So to me,
Oh,
that's
wow.
abundance. It's like things are there when you need it right there. And of
Yeah.
all the things, I don't know how a cane appeared, but it appeared. And I was
Oh,
able to
really?
walk down 4 blocks.
Wow.
So I call that abundance.
Yeah. I've had things like that happen before in my life, where just out of nowhere, what you need in just the right moment's there for you. That's pretty amazing. So got a quote by Renee Johnson herself. Gratitude for all things set laws in motion, a power within us for good, and more of the same. Giving and receiving are the same.
Yeah.
We learn to live in gratitude for all that was, is, and shall ever be. So that quote from Renee, notice the part of the quote that says, and more of the same. So we've talked a little bit about what that means. Any other thoughts? I've got a story of my own I'd like to share if nobody minds. There's some of you that have met my wife, Chantel, I think. And maybe I'm just thinking of 2 years ago, so maybe it isn't the current audience that we have here. But anyway, she's a giver. She probably more than myself, and I've still done it myself, but we will once in a while we'll see somebody holding up a sign, and I remember this time where she gave a lady, this was I think like in a Smith's parking lot. It's a grocery store out here in Utah. I don't know if they have Smith's in Oregon. I'm pretty sure they don't. We were driving by slowly, and we saw her, and Chantel just says, I have this really strong feeling I need to give this lady some help. So we flip around, and she hands the lady $100, and I'll never forget what happened. I've had some similar reactions myself when I'd hand people money, but it was, she just dropped to her knees, raised her hands to the sky, and was thanking God. And like I said, I'll never forget that. You never know until it hits you what somebody may be in need of. And I just remember that I started thinking about all the ripple effect and consequence that could come from that, because we didn't see the lady afterwards, but it was undeniable that she was so grateful. She was pouring her heart out. She was, like I said, thanking God, raising her hands to the sky, and it was pretty epic. Like I said, I won't forget that one. But so even though I don't advocate blind panhandling, that's not the point of why I said told the story because, you know, stuff like that at times can be dangerous. I also believe discernment can afford us opportunities to experience the many benefits of gratitude. Being moved by blessing the life of another is just one of those benefits. Just as Renee has said, gratitude basically gestates and gives rise to abundance in amazing ways. I'm going to show another video here that breaks this down a bit.
While you're setting it up, there was a friend of mine who her husband kept $100 worth of $5 bills so that when somebody was particularly kind, he would leave them a tip.
Oh,
Like going out to eat, he might leave several. And he passed away, and she had, for 2 years, she held on to his wallet with $100 worth of fives. And then one day she finally just went out, and at the restaurant where they always go and eat, she left the entire amount for the tip. But just his kindness to just keep fives where he could just hand them out to say thank you.
yeah. Well, that's an inspiring example that obviously inspired her. And I know that. Thank you for sharing that, because what Chantel did that day, that made a lasting impression on me. I mean, I'd given money before, but not to the amount of $100 to somebody. I wasn't really in a habit of doing that. But thank you for sharing that.
Just a fleeting emotion or a polite thank you when someone does something kind. It is a transformative force, a powerful tool that has the capacity to reshape your entire reality. It's the hidden force behind attracting success, health, happiness, and wealth into your life. But what if I told you that there is a deeper, untapped power within gratitude that many people overlook? In today's video, we will explore this hidden power. By the end, you will understand how to unlock gratitude's true potential and use it to transform your life in ways you never imagined. So I ask you to stay with me because this could very well be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. Let's begin by understanding what gratitude truly is. Gratitude is often misunderstood as merely an expression of thanks when something good happens, but gratitude goes far deeper than that. It is a state of being, a deep feeling that resonates in your heart and throughout your body. This feeling signals to the universe that you are in a state of receiving.
Looking for an easier way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brands. Just go to their site, enter your...
But receiving what? Let's talk about that. When something wonderful happens, gratitude naturally flows. Perhaps you received good news, or something you've worked hard for has finally manifested. It's easy to feel grateful when your life is in alignment, when everything is going your way. But here's the deeper secret. Can you feel gratitude for the things you desire, but haven't yet experienced? Can you feel gratitude for the future, even before it arrives? This is where the hidden power of gratitude lies. Most people live their lives waiting for external circumstances to bring them happiness, success, or fulfillment. They think, once I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. Or when I meet the right partner, I'll finally feel complete. It's a way of thinking that keeps you in a perpetual state of lack. You're signaling to your brain and body that you don't yet have what you want. And this energy only attracts more lack. What if I told you that you have the power to flip this process? What if instead of waiting for something external to create gratitude in you, you could generate it from within? This, my friends, is the ultimate state of receiving. Here's the truth. When you feel gratitude in advance for your dreams, your brain and body do not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined. By practicing gratitude for your future desires as if they are already here, you are setting yourself up for manifestation in the most profound way possible. Let's take a deeper look into how gratitude works in the brain and body.
So I'm going to have to stop the clip here because we're running out of time. And we're going to move to the closing song. But before I do, I'll just say that I do know that this song gets played a lot, but it's probably my favorite song if I was going to choose one for abundance and gratitude, because well, the emphasis that it makes on choice, and of course the the abundance that comes from active volition, which is, you know, very conscious and deliberate choice rather than having just idle or passive thoughts govern our lives. And so I really just probably one of my favorite songs of all time.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A son's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change. Na 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 na. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize there was someone no home, not a nickel to love. Could it be really me pretending that they're not alone? Oh, well, oh, deeply scarred, somebody's broken heart and a washed out dream. They follow the pattern of the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make that change. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make the change. You gotta get it right while you got the time. Now you close your heart, then you close your mind. That man, that's with that man. That man, that man, that man, that man, that man, that man. You know that man could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself, then make a change. Na 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 na. Gonna feel real good, yeah, 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 yeah. Na 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 na. No, no. I'm gonna make a change. It's gonna feel real good. Some more. Just to live yourself. You know, you got to stop it yourself. Yeah. Make that change. I gotta make that change today. You got to.
All right, everybody. Been a good class. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And so, yes.
Very good.
All who wanted to see where I got those links, Alan's going to send my outline, which is kind of like my notes to keep track of what I'm saying and whatnot. So you can send that to everybody. Anybody who wants it.
Yes, please.
Or we'll find a way here.
Okay.
I'm gonna share.
Hello, this